Be continuing learning about writing equations of lines, except today we're going to be extending that thinking by looking at lines that are parallel and perpendicular. So we're going to start off with a little exercise here. We're going to follow the instructions of these 3 steps, and we're going to make some observations. So the first one says, draw a line with a slope of 2 that passes through the origin. So you actually might want to pause the video right now and try this on your own, and then play it again when you are finished just to see how you did. But I'm going to go ahead and walk through how we would do this. So if we're drawing a line with a slope of 2 that passes through the origin is 0, 0. So I'm going to place my point there. And then a slope of 2 is like 2 over 1, so I'm going to go up 2 over 1 from there. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. I can also go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And this is my line passing through the origin. So that's line 1. Let's do the next line. The next one says, draw a line with a slope of 2 that passes through 3, negative 1. So I'm going to start with my point, 3, negative 1, which is over 3 down 1. And it has the same slope. So 2 over 1, I'm going to go up 2 over 1. So from this point, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and then down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. I have my second line. And then I'm going to do a third line. This line also has a slope of 2, but it passes through negative 5, 3. So I'm going to start at my point, negative 5, 3, which is down here, up 3. And I'm going to also go up 2 over 1. So up 2 over 1. I'm going to go off the grid if I keep going that way, so I'm going to go down 2 over 1 for this line here. So looking at these 3 lines, we can hopefully make some observations. And I'm going to discuss those observations down here so you can kind of compare your thoughts to what we're going to be discussing right now. So the first point here is that these are parallel lines. So hopefully you're familiar with that. Parallel lines have the same slope. We just drew 3 parallel lines, and what was the same about them was their slope. But they have different points, or more specifically, they have different y-intercepts. Another point about parallel lines is that they do not intersect or touch or cross each other, but intersect is probably the best vocab word for that. And another point about parallel lines is that they are equidistant from each other. So that means, like, if we took a point here and here, if we just compared points from line to line, the distance of these green lines would be equivalent as I go down and find the distance between these lines. And I know in elementary school, often parallel lines are described as like train tracks because they continuously go in the same direction. They will never intersect, no matter how long they continue going. So that's the main idea of parallel lines. So is that they have the same slope, and we see that right here. So if we're not looking at a graph, if we're just looking at equations, we're going to be looking at m, which is our variable for slope. So right here, we're going to find the slope of a line parallel to the line given, and parallel lines have the same slope. So if I find the slope of the line, then I can find the slope of the parallel line. So this first one, y equals negative 3/4 x plus 2, it's already in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is slope. So the slope of a parallel line would be the same exact thing, negative 3 over 4. The second one, I can't tell the slope right away because this is not in slope-intercept form. So I'm just going to move some things around. I'm going to get the y by itself. I'm going to move this 4x to the other side. And I get y equals negative 4x plus 2. So now I can see that this is m. So my slope of a parallel line would be the same, which is negative 4. Number 3, we're going to have to think about this for a moment. A line that's in the form y equals is horizontal. So we remember hoi. So a horizontal line has a 0 slope, and it's the equation of line y equals. So if a horizontal line has a 0 slope, then a line that is parallel, another horizontal line, is also going to have a 0 slope. And for number 4, we need to get this in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to move this 2x to the other side. I'm left with negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 4, because that's a negative 4. I'm going to divide everything by negative 3, and so I'm left with y equals these negatives right here. Whoops. Cancel, giving me a positive 2/3 x, and then once again I have a negative 4 over a negative 3. Those become positive 4 over 3. And so my slope is 2/3, and so my slope here will also be 2/3. All right, so that is a type of question that could be asked, but more often than not, you're going to be asked to do something like this. So you're going to be asked to write the equation of a line given a parallel line and a point. And so here's an example. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that passes through negative 1, 6, which is our x and y coordinates, and it's parallel to the graph of this line. So parallel means it has the same slope. So we're going to follow very similar steps to how we've been writing equations, but instead of using 2 points to find a slope, we're actually going to use this equation of a line to find our slope. So here are the steps. Number 1 says write the given equation in slope-intercept form to identify the slope. That's what we just practiced doing on 1 through 4. And the new line will have the same slope. So if I have y minus 2x equals 12, I want to get y by itself, so I'm just going to add this 2x to both sides, and I'm left with y equals 2x plus 12. And now that it's in slope-intercept, I know that 2 is my slope, so the slope of my new line is also 2, because parallel lines have the same slope. So moving on to step 2, I now have a slope, and I also have a point, which was given to me. So just like we did before, we're going to find the y-intercept. I'm going to plug these into y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to solve for b. So y, I'm looking over here, is 6 equals m, is right here, is 2 times x, up here is negative 1, plus b. So now I just solve. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, so 6 equals negative 2 plus b. I'm going to move my work over here. When I add that 2 to both sides, I get 6 plus 2 is 8 equals b. So now that I have my slope, highlight this here, I have my slope, I have my intercept, I'm going to do the last step, which says plug in the slope and the y-intercept to write the new equation. And so that's going to be y equals m, which is 2, x plus 8, which is b. And that's it. And I provided this graph over here so that we could graph these 2 lines and see that they are indeed parallel. However, I kind of failed because if you notice, the y-intercept of this one is 12, and that's not on this graph. And also the y-intercept here is 8, and it's also not on this graph. So that was a fail on my part. Okay, so the idea with parallel lines is they have the same slope. So now we're going to move on to another idea.